They have the power to anoint a new federal government, but it seems the key independents aren't immune from heavy-handed lobbying. As negotiations enter a critical stage, the opposition leader has warned his coalition MPs to treat the country independents with respect. With the nation heading into a second week of political uncertainty, there are hopes the election deadlock could be broken by the end of this week. Stephanie Kennedy reports from Canberra.
It's the first time an Indigenous Australian has won a seat in the House of Representatives.
3 cheers for Ken and Hasluck, Yvette. Hooray!
But Ken Wyatt's historic victory has been marred by racial slurs. The new member for Hasluck has received hate mail from people saying they would not have voted for him if they'd known he was Indigenous.
When it gets down to some very pointed comments that are appearing on some of the sites, then that hurts.
There's pain also for the key independents. They've been subjected to thousands of emails and phone calls with MPs and supporters from all sides of politics lobbying the so-called kingmakers. Friendships are being tested. Tony Windsor and the Liberal MP Albie Schultz from the New South Wales rural seat of Hume go back 2 decades. In the past week, there's been a flurry of phone calls.
But he did make one call that he suggested we should get back to the polls and get on with it. But I'm getting advice from a lot of people, so I take Albie's advice in the spirit in which it was meant.
One newspaper described the phone calls as threatening. Albie Schultz told the ABC the allegation is untrue. He says he made no threats and he's now seeking legal advice. The federal opposition leader is walking a tightrope and he's issued a stern warning to all his MPs.
We've got some very robust, independent-minded members of the coalition, and Albie's certainly one of them. But the point I keep making is that everyone has got to be treated with respect. No one should be pressured or heavied.
Labor is also performing a high-wire act. The Greens want a cabinet position for their lower house vote to install Julia Gillard in the Lodge.
That is not on the table at all. Certainly not on the table.
Also at the table, former intelligence analyst Andrew Wilkie. He's now accusing both sides of lying over the justification for war in Afghanistan.
Let's be honest. Let's say we're there to help the people of Afghanistan and to bolster our bilateral relationship with the US.
As the country enters its second week of political limbo, the real negotiations and horse trading begins in earnest. And some of the independents have indicated they want to see an end to this deadlock sooner rather than later.
Well, hopefully by the end of the week, but it could take a little bit longer than that.
It would be a bad thing for Australia. It would not be in the public interest to stagger on very long at all.
And it's not in the country's political or economic interests either. Stephanie Kennedy, ABC News, Canberra.